As June quickly fades to July, we're looking forward to the coming year, and we've made some great changes to Section 136 of the TAPS bylaws. This includes in-season, off-season, and summer regulations. The Athletic Executive Committee and the Executive Board looked at the situation and decided changes were necessary after years of using the same convoluted wording to try to get our message across. So we're here today to give you a quick update prior to you reading it on our one-page flyer and also in the TAPS bylaws. So Steve, what is Section 136 in your words?
Well, when I was out there, I agree with you. Section 136 was something that tried to maintain and control when coaches could coach, how long they could coach, and those kind of things. And because we started adding more and more schools who had different types of facilities, different types of programs, Section 136 kind of grew like a monster, and we realized it was one of the most convoluted, complex sections in all of our bylaws. And so I'm really proud of our board and our AEC that took the leadership to change this. I think the changes are going to be simpler to understand, they're going to be easier to enforce, and really it's going to be healthy for our kids.
I think one of the biggest changes is we've taken a lot of the bullet points out of the wording, and what we're trying to do is give ownership to the local level, to each school. Granted, these apply to only the high school rules, but I think they would also transition down to junior high really well. So let's talk about the first thing. What is the TAPS school year?
TAPS school year is basically defined as starting at the very end of dead week until each school ends their school year, which can be different from school to school. So if you're talking about school A's school year, once dead week ends until their last day of class is that school year.
So for 2025, that begins on Monday, August the 4th. And again, we have some schools whose year will end May the 2nd. And some schools whose year will end June the 5th. So there's all kinds of end dates in there, but that defines the TAPS year, which would also then define summer. So the definition of summer, in my opinion, would be the day after your last day of classes until the first day of dead week.
That's right, and that makes it really simple. So always think in terms of, am I in the summer or am I in the school year? Once you're in the school year, you have two categories. You're either in season for a specific sport or you're out of season.
Another couple of things that would come up, dead week is generally the last week of July. And there's also that period of no activity in Christmas time. We used to say, like the UIL, that's 5 consecutive days, but what's our ruling say now?
We now say that every school needs to take 3 days off. Now they can choose whatever 3 days they want. They do need to be consecutive, but it could be around a religious holiday, or they could really choose any 3 days as long as they're consecutive, and they do have to take 3 days off.
So it's 3 days for all activities. You can't take one set for 3 days for soccer and one for basketball. But in a huge change from where we used to be, Christmas Day and Christmas Eve can be 2 of those days. You only have to put one more before or after, and the weekends count. So it could be a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They all count the same. So is that basically what you see as the Christmas break?
Yes, and that gives the schools the freedom to work around their specific religious holiday or something that works better for their school model.
Can a school take more than that off and call that mandatory as well?
Oh, sure. TAPS is going to regulate you must take a minimum of 3 days off, but we'll back any school decision that you make.
Steve, another key component is the Sabbath. So each school does need to declare a Sabbath. So talk to us just a little bit about what our expectations of the Sabbath are within Section 136.
Once again, we want to make sure that the kids get 1 day off a week, and depending on their religious convictions, it could be a Saturday, could be a Sunday. The school does need to designate what their Sabbath is going to be, and they need to stay with it. They can't jump it around. Basically, we want the kids to have 6 consecutive days of work and 1 day of rest.
I think the big key there when we're talking about consistent is it doesn't change from football season to soccer season to basketball season. And again, it is observed. So if you're having your Sabbath on a Saturday, then the Texas Relays may not be an opportunity for you. We've got a lot of tournaments out of state that are including Sunday in their tournament schedule. Again, if Sunday or Saturday is your Sabbath as declared by your school, you're not allowed to coach them and have them play during those days if they're representing you in interscholastic competitions. So to recap, there's 3 important dates that kind of come to my mind of no activity. One would be the Sabbath, the other would be Dead Week, and then Christmas time. Anything else you'd like to add on that, or is that pretty well
No, that pretty much sums it up. We do want to back off the kids a little bit. Number one, we want to honor people's religious convictions. But number two, time to give kids a rest.
So as we go forward then, there's a new concept that's coming. It was introduced a few years ago with the summer, but we're now extending it to summer, in season and off season, and that term is contact hours. So give me a little brief overview, and our folks out there, a brief overview of what's included in contact hours.
The easiest way to think about it is anytime your athletes are engaged in some kind of activity to help improve their athletic performance, think of those as contact hours. Now, to be more specific, if any of your school personnel, not just coaches, any of your school personnel are coaching, instructing, meeting with, showing films to your athletes, that's contact hours. However, your personnel doesn't have to be involved. We talk about open gym. If your athletes are using your facility, even if a coach isn't there, that's a contact hour as well. And we're going to regulate those contact hours depending on what time of the year you are in.
So there's a couple things that come to my mind, having been my previous history here. So you've got batting cages, or you've got a gym, or you've got whatever it may be. So if dad's up there coach pitching, or if dad is bringing the child up to use your gym to shoot baskets or free throws, that's going to count as a contact hour, just as if it had been your coaches or your staff doing the same thing.
These are all things that you're defining as, hey, we're going to get better. Because, and I know I did this as a coach, hey, we're going to have the open weight room. Well, I know how my kids heard that. I better be there. Well, no, it's optional. Yeah, but they're trying to get better, and we're really trying to take some things off of these kids. We put so much on these kids, and they're high school kids. They need to be kids.
So let's go from the word contact hours to voluntary. So we used to say that an open weight room was voluntary, an open gym was voluntary, and during the summer, they must still be voluntary. So to me, anything occurring in the summer, whether it's league participation, whether it's a weight program, whether it's open gym, open weights, whatever, that all in the summer still needs to be voluntary. Is that correct?
That's correct, and you can't have that as a base. Attendance cannot be a basis for choosing a team, picking your starting lineup, whether they get to come out for a team or not. Everything in the summer is voluntary. Now, if you are in season, obviously you can make those practices mandatory.
Same thing would be true with off season. It could be mandatory if you're giving a grade for it.
That's correct.
Or if your school leadership decides that's what it should be. So again, there's voluntary and involuntary. Again, it's hard during the summer if you're taking attendance, and you should, for weight training or whatever, who showed up for a safety perspective, who didn't show up, whatever. But if you're using that to help decide a team, you're in a gray slope. And if you say you have to be there, or you have to attend a team camp or whatever during the summer, obviously those are not voluntary. But that's not a change.
Right.
Nothing's changed from the summer being voluntary.
That's correct. And we've, as far as the contact hours, we introduced that in the summer. And that hasn't changed. You still have 15 contact hours in the summer.
So let's look at it from the word contact hours, and now let's take that one step farther. So we do have contact hours for the first time in the manual for in-season sports. We actually have them for out-of-season sports and summer. So give us a brief recap. During the summer, how many hours and what counts?
You can have 15 total hours, and that's per kid. So think in terms of, Brian, you're my quarterback, and you also play baseball. I need to think in terms of, I get Brian for my school sports for 15 hours. It might be 5 hours in the weight room. It might be 5 hours of out there throwing the football. It might be 5 hours of baseball. But the total I get for Brian Bunselmeyer, my athlete, is 15 hours.
So take a step back now and let's go off season. How many hours are included in off season?
In off season, you get 10 total hours. And it's up to the school to determine how those hours are broken up. As an athletic director, I was really committed to the weight room. So I could tell you right now, 5 hours are going to be taken. If you're in off season, I don't care what athletic activity you're engaged in, whether you are a football player or baseball player, you're going to be in the weight room 5 hours. But if you're off season, you have another 5 hours where it now is basketball season and you're a baseball player. Now my baseball coach has 5 more hours to work with you.
If the athletic director so chooses,
That's
right?
correct. We're really shifting the authority to this to the schools, while also trying to put some guardrails around how much time we're asking those kids.
So the last part of that would be in season. This is where something new has come about. So in season contact hours, what does that look like?
Your in-season contact hours are basically 15 hours. And one really important thing, and this came up a lot at the summer meetings, this does not include game day activities. So when you're adding up your 15 hours, if I'm a football coach, on Friday we would have a team meal, we'd have a team meeting, we would have taping, we would have warm-up. None of those count in your 15 hours. So really, as a football coach, we would practice Monday through Thursday, and then we'd bring him in Saturday to watch film and lift weights. That all counts in my total 15 hours. I have 15 hours to get those kind of things in.
So this counts for individual and team sports. For an individual sport to be in season, you have to be going to tournaments or to meets. So if you say I'm in season cross country, then you need to be going to a cross country meet, and the kids need to be going to a cross country meet. So you can say it's the cross country workout, but if a student never goes to a cross country meet, they're probably not in season. That's still off season.
That's
so
correct.
You don't get to add. And again, we're not allowing coaches to coach in the off-season baseball or football or basketball leagues in the fall. That would still fall out of that parameter. The one thing I want to reiterate that we changed the last couple of years is that it's not contiguous to the school day anymore. So the 10 hours of off-season, if your school runs from 8 to 4, you could actually do your off-season before school, after school, in school if you have an athletic period, or you might bring them back at 5 o'clock that night if that's when your coaching staff and your school leadership agrees. So the big key here is athletic director and school leadership are all in the same vein.
Well, and really that's why we went to this, because we realized every school is different. Some schools don't have an athletic period. Now, if you do have an athletic period, those count as contact hours. But not every school has a weight room. Not every school has an athletic period as part of the day. They may even have an athletic period at a facility off campus. But now it doesn't matter how you are going to accomplish this. You get this many contact hours based on whether it's in season, out of season, or summer.
So again, big change, Section 136, more to follow, more to come. Wanted to give you this update so everybody's kind of on the same page as you plan your fall, your winter, and your spring. 3 key terms to remember. 1 are the days that count. So it's in season, off season, and summer. The variation off of that of no contact time would be Sabbath. It would also include dead week and the Christmas break. And then that term contact hours. So anything you'd like to add to finish this off here on Section 136 for 2025?
No, now that I'm on this side, I wish that this were around when I were out there. It would have made things so much easier. And we're excited about this. We think this makes your job easier. It certainly makes our job easier. And I think it also levels the playing field where you may have one school with tremendous facilities. You got somebody else who has some real challenges. This gives them the flexibility to get their hours in as well.
Again, we think it's a great change. The Athletic Executive Committee and the board agreed. So it's always easier and better to ask permission instead of forgiveness. So if you've got questions about your specific program, email us at info, @taps.biz. Give us a call at 254-947-9268 or reach out to us through the communication platform in your TMS dashboard. Again, Section 136, big changes for 25-26. We look forward to you having a great year as you prepare your athletes for competition.